Reagan, and today I'm here to bring you my February wrap up. Now for the month of February, I am pretty pleased with the amount I read. I read about 4.5 books, and due to the fact that February is a shorter month, you know, I'm still pretty pleased with that. I'm still on track with my reading goal for the year, so far so good. And I also read some incredible books this month that I cannot wait to talk about. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and dive right in. The first book I completed this month was Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. Now this book actually checked off a few boxes for myself. First off, I wanted to read more Gaiman in the year 2018, so, you know, starting in February, I already accomplished that a little bit, which was great. And two, I wanted to kind of push myself out of some of my own genre comfort zones. And while this is technically fantasy, it is urban fantasy, which is something I very rarely read. Now, Neverwhere is an incredible book. This is set in London, and in this London there are essentially two Londons. There's the above ground London, where everything is normal. It's the London that you and I live in, and everything just is exactly as it should be. But there's another London. This London consists of people that have fallen through the cracks, and once they've made to this London below, they can't really be seen by London people above. And that essentially is what happens to our main character. He falls through the cracks of London above into London below, and there he is captured in all sorts of below London politics. This book is so good. I don't know why I was wary going into this story. I thought it might be slow, but it is not at all. This story is definitely adult. It's definitely very dark, but it also has some like very whimsical and quirky qualities to it. In fact, it kind of gave me like middle grade vibes in the way that I love with the narration, some of the characters, but it is by no means like middle grade. Like this book has some serious, scary, violent moments. In fact, some of the perspectives we read from are two of the scariest characters I feel like I've encountered in a while. That being said, its quirky nature really lends to it having a very unique storyline. The world, London Below, felt very rich and interesting and dark and dreary, and these characters were so fascinating, like just completely unique and nothing that I really encountered before. We really got a feel for our main character because he was essentially encountering all of this just like us for the first time and had the reactions that we would expect when one encounters like a rat king. That being said, Neverwhere was a very special, magical, but dark book. I enjoyed it from beginning to end. I thought it was great, and ultimately I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I would highly recommend this book. I flew through it. The next book I completed was the Perustopia Book Club pick for the month of February, and this month we are working with HUH Teen, and the book is Ever the Brave by Aaron Sumrill. This is the second book. Sasha and I actually read the first book last year when it came out. The first one is Ever the Hunted, and this is the sequel that essentially takes place right after the first one ended. I have a full non-spoiler review, which I'll leave down below, but overall thoughts are I enjoyed this one a lot. I thought it was even better than the first book. The setting of the story is one that I really enjoyed. It definitely has a lot of nods to these traditional fairy tale settings, and it has a really great traditional medieval setting with magic and politics and all of those things. We follow 3 perspectives in this story that are all very disparate, and they all have to work together to ultimately solve a dark power that's looming over the kingdom. Our main character, Britta, who we follow in the first novel, is one of my favorites. She is like a woods talented hunter, tracker, bow and arrow. I think that's just like it's such an interesting set of skills to have, and I always love reading characters as they like track through the forest. I just think it's very fun and interesting. We also get a perspective of a new character in this book who I am a huge fangirl for, and so I'll leave it at that. But ultimately I thought this book was a lot of fun. I read through it so quickly. I thought the plot was very fast paced. I thought the characters were very interesting and mature, and there was definitely some romantic plot lines that got you flipping the pages pretty quickly. At the end of the day, I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was fun, and I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. The next book I completed was The Immortal Reign by Morgan Rose. This is the 6th and final book to the Fallen Kingdom series. Obviously, as the 6th and final book to a series, it's hard to kind of go in depth with this story. But Fallen Kingdoms is a multi-perspective YA fantasy series following a multitude of different characters from different lands that neighbor each other and basically hate each other. This particular story is full of a whole bunch of politics, a lot of great romance. In fact, one of the most addicting romances in fantasy I've encountered in a while, and just a lot of really great plot twists and a lot of really fantastic plot ideas. I've really enjoyed the series throughout the years. I've always read them right when they've come out, and this was no different with the last book. I will say I did enjoy this last book. I thought it did a great job wrapping everything up plot-wise. Was it my favorite book in the series? No. Was it still really good? Yes, I would say my favorite books in the series are definitely the middle ones. 3 and 4 specifically are my favorite books in the series, but I did really enjoy this. I thought it was very satisfying. I honestly can't wait to see where Morgan Rhodes goes next with her writing because I really enjoy it. And I ended up giving this book a 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was good. Next book I read. Best book I read so far this year. Absolutely love it. Can't stop talking about it. Blew my mind. Honestly, I read it in 2 sittings. It's incredible. That book is Scythe by Neil Shusterman. I have been dying to read this book for years, and then I saw Emma read it and like devour it on Twitter, and I was like, okay, I'm finally gonna pick it up. Oh my gosh, this book is incredible. It's like everything I wanted it to be, but then even more. This story is set in a world where essentially humanity has advanced to the point where all bad things have been taken care of. Bad things like war, disease, famine, mortality, all those things have been dealt with. Therefore, the only way humans can die is if a scythe ordained can kill them. That's the only way they die. And we follow our 2 main characters, Citra and Rowan, who have been chosen to be apprentices of a scythe, and they begin their scythe training. This book is just so good. I love Neil Shusterman's writing. I've read a lot of his books, and this book, like many of his other books, put a mirror up on you, up on your society, and reflects potential like downfalls right back at you. I mean, this book is incredibly political. It's dark. It's absolutely mind-blowing. You're flipping the pages. I mean, the absolute creativity of this dystopian, utopian world is so amazing. Essentially, the story is centering around scythes and scythedoms and people ordained to kill people. These people should be by nature humble, and they should have a lot of empathy and compassion, but there's a lot of politics at play within this scythe. They're not above human folly, and we get to explore all that folly and all of that greed and desire through this story, and it is so flipping good. I read it in, again, 2 sittings, 5 out of 5 stars, absolutely obsessed with it, and right when I finished it, I started the sequel, Thunderhead, which I'm halfway through. I had to like take a few days to digest Scythe before I could pick this up, but obviously I'm not done with it, but I'm halfway through, loving it. It's incredible. This book series is everything. It actually also makes me want to reread all of the Neil Shusterman books I read in the past because I feel like I will love them and I just need to reread them because they're amazing. But yeah, so I started Thunderhead this month. I'm gonna finish this today as I'm filming it, so technically probably in February. But my goodness, if you have not read Scythe, read Scythe. It is so good. Alrighty guys, that is my February wrap up. Let me know down below any books you've read recently that have blown your mind like Scythe has done to me. That book is my life now. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you soon with another video soon. Goodbye.